Welcome to Canadian Coffee House Crime. My name is Catherine. I am currently residing in the town of Jasper, Alberta. If you're ever in the area, go for a hike. See some animals.
Just chilling. Just a baby, honey.
Try some amazing food. Go for a walk and enjoy some souvenir shopping. I thought I would cover all the stories from the haunted stamp and coin collection that the Canadian Mint put together in 2016. Today's story is coming from Toronto, Ontario, called The Lavender Lady of the Winter Garden Theatre. Welcome to Toronto, the capital of Ontario. Houses almost 3 million people of over 200 distinct ethnic groups. Founded by the British in 1793 and was originally called York but was renamed in 1834. Toronto is the headquarters of the 5 national banks and is popular for motion picture productions. It is home to the tallest freestanding structure on land outside of Asia, the CN Tower, which was completed in 1976. You can always catch a seasonal game of either the Toronto Blue Jays, the Toronto Argonauts, or the Toronto Maple Leafs. Situated on the east side of Yonge Street, just north of Queen Street in downtown Toronto, you can find the Elgin Winter Garden Theatre. This grand theatre was opened December 15th, 1913, when Toronto had a population of about 210,000 people. The theatre was originally named Lowe's Yonge Street Theatre. The Edwardian double-decker or stacked theatre was designed by architect Thomas Lamb, costing $490,000 to build. The larger Elgin area holds 1,561 seats, while the Winter Garden holds 992. As the last operating double-decker Edwardian theatre in the world, the Winter Garden is 7 stories above the Elgin area. Access to the Winter Garden Theatre is by way of the Grand Staircase or hand-operated passenger elevators, which maintain their original signage, elevators for the Winter Garden. Decoration of the Winter Garden seating is completely different from the Elgin area seating, with a whimsical rooftop garden atmosphere made to resemble a garden in full bloom. Garden murals of roses, morning glories, and climbing ivy cover the walls, and structural columns are decorated to resemble the tree trunks. The ceiling is adorned with lanterns and over 5,000 beech leaves and branches. The sounding board mural is a scene of blue sky and white clouds with mountains in the foreground. Vaudeville came into popularity during the 1880s. Tickets were 10 cents and 25 cents. It hosted acts such as George Burns and Gracie Allen, Sophie Tucker, ventriloquist Edgar Bergen and his wooden dummy Charlie McCarthy. With the decline of vaudeville, the Winter Garden closed in 1928, sealed like a tomb for more than half a century. The Elgin part was rewired and remained open for movies. You could have seen Gone with the Wind, or Wizard of Oz there. the 1970s, the theater was open for B-rated movies and adult films and was called the Young Street Theater. In 1978, it was renamed again the Elgin. The rumor was that there were 3 letters from the Young sign that could be used to spell Elgin. The last movie it ever screened was What the Swedish Butler Saw. The theater was in such a disarray by this time, it was going to be torn down, but instead was made a Canadian National Historical Site. In 1981, the Ontario Heritage Trust bought the building and undertook a massive restoration. The production of Cats was going to be shown there. Winter Garden was to be opened. It had been sealed off since 1928. 60 years had passed. And when it was unsealed, they found old tickets, costumes, seats, opera boxes, hardwood floors, which were all still intact, and 125 sets of vaudeville scenery backdrops, which is now the largest collection in the world. Cats ran for 2 years, seating 1 million people and made $40 million. $29 million of renovations occurred in 1987. The ceiling of real beech branches and fairy lanterns were added to the Winter Garden area. More than 5,000 new beech branches were woven together to recreate the ceiling. To clean the walls, hundreds of pounds of raw bread dough was used. The dough picked up the dirt without wetting or removing the paint to avoid damaging the original hand-painted watercolor motifs. In the lobby, 25 layers of paint was removed. The glittering gilt plaster work alone required more than 300,000 sheets of paper-thin aluminum leaf. Replacement seating came from the Biograph Theater in Chicago, which was having a sale of its old seats just at the right time. As the story goes, one of them was the last theater chair occupied by the notorious American gangster John Dillinger, who was shot dead by U.S. special agents just outside the Biograph on June 22, 1934 at 10:30 at night after watching Clark Gable in Manhattan melodrama. The narrow 2-story building kept its traditional Edwardian design with pilasters, engaged columns, and 3 Roman arched windows. Theater patrons enter into a long, narrow, richly decorated lobby lined with scagliola columns with crimson, brass, and gold color palette. This color scheme carries into the Elgin Theater with rows of crimson seats, carpeting, and draperies. The panels and plaster decoration are burnished in patina glaze. The domed ceiling replicates much of the detail of the rest of the theater, only on a larger scale with garlands, ribbons, and masks. Located in the heart of historic downtown Toronto, the theater is a non-profit organization committed to enriching, engaging, and entertaining through professional entertainment with a community focus. The theater showcases atmospheric theater in a Mediterranean revival-style venue. It is said over 80 different spirits have been witnessed or experienced at the complex. Some are ghosts of those who died on site, like Sam, who returned after a liquid lunch to fall off the stage. Sam was supposedly a trombone player at the Winter Garden in its 1910s heyday, and a faint trombone music has been heard from around the garden stage area. Some of the volunteers doing the renovation conducted a session with a Ouija board. Almost as soon as they started, a ghost named Samuel identified himself. He had been a trombone player in 1918 who passed away by falling into an orchestra pit of the Elgin. The volunteers asked if there were any other spirits there. He said yes, but when they asked to talk to them, he refused. Others are former staff, like the Man in Black, a top-hatted manager who continues to patrol the Elgin's dim aisles. A woman dressed in pure white has been seen standing and sometimes floating slightly above the steps of the first-level grand staircase. Witnesses knew right away the woman wasn't of the living because they could see right through her. On one occasion, the woman in white was seen by a lady working the gift shop. The house manager was called into the theater one morning at 4:38 a.m. to unlock for a film shoot. The security guard greeted her as she walked through the stage doors. She went about unlocking the theater and was on the balcony of the Elgin when she heard a woman's voice right behind her say her name. The manager quickly turned around to find nobody behind her. She ran to the edge of the balcony and found the theater dark and empty as it was a moment ago. An usher also experienced the same thing when hearing a disembodied woman's voice call his name when he was alone in the Elgin Theater. A woman in the early 1900s costume has been seen floating, leaving the second-floor coat check room, where the room, it has said, had been used as a quick change for the actors. The original elevators will mysteriously stop at level 3 when the only way to stop it is to press the button in a very empty lounge. A man in a brown Edwardian suit has been seen sitting in the orchestra stalls, usually during a rehearsal. When someone approached him or called out to him, he would disappear. There have also been reports of cold spots and other activity among the garden boxes at stage right. In the 1980s, a worker at the Elgin area reported seeing rows of seats eerily folding down in seating position at once, as if an old vaudeville show was starting in another dimension. One lady believed to have been an actress has been seen. There's also a man that stays in and around the second-floor ladies' washroom. He's thought to have been a theater technician. There's also a little boy who is believed to have fallen from the boxes in the Elgin Theater. Another ghost in the Elgin is dubbed as Stan. He is a worker who helped to restore the Elgin Theater during the 80s, but died when he fell off the mezzanine of the theater. One box office staff member says she was walking down the stairs to the lobby beneath the Elgin Theater when she heard footsteps behind her. Looking back, she didn't see anybody. She increased her speed, and then the footsteps also began to increase in speed as well, until finally she had to run down the stairs, outrunning the footsteps. Okay, the story you've all been waiting for, the Lavender Lady. According to legend, she was viciously attacked and stabbed in the ladies' 5th floor washroom on the Winter Garden level and somehow managed to narrowly escape her attacker. But the unfortunate girl crawled and dragged herself to the elevator and pushed the call button. However, she collapsed after doing so and died as the elevator made its way to the top floors. When the elevator arrived at the Winter Garden Theater level, the elevator attendant opened the door to discover the young woman dead. The Edwardian lady in white, or the Lavender Lady, can be seen most often on the staircase. The Lavender Lady still walks the hallways and has been seen by the elevators. Theater patrons and employees have reported a vanishing lady in white Edwardian getup in and around the Elgin lobby. She's dubbed the Lavender Lady because of the lavender scent that accompanies her. Her presence is made known more commonly through the aroma of lavender. Today, many workers claim to smell the scent of lavender in the upper levels of the theater. A light breeze would cause the scent to waft into the room. Elevator operators have also noted that many times the Winter Garden call button will be pushed, even when the Winter Garden level is locked and no one is up there. Others have reported that the elevators sometimes rise to the 5th floor and open to empty rooms that lead to nowhere. The younger staff don't usually open the elevator door, but the older staff will open the door as a courtesy for the Lavender Lady who summoned it. Sometimes she can be seen on the grand staircase and the elevators. The temperature will drop and a faint scent of lavender will be in the air. An apparition of a woman in Edwardian clothing will appear in the lobby and remain long enough to be witnessed by a few before disappearing. She is a woman in her mid-20s, blonde hair in a bun, but a bit disheveled and appears to have been in a struggle. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Catherine, and this is Canadian Coffee House Crime. Please feel free to press the like button and subscribe to my channel as I put out a new video every week. That concludes story 3 of the 2016 Haunted Canada series from the Canadian Stamp and Coin Collection. The next story will be number 4, called The Lady in White from Quebec. Geez, there are a lot of lady in white ghost stories in this country. See you in the next case.